In every age, people have asked the same questions. What is the good life? How should we treat one another? What does it mean to be free or virtuous or just? What does it mean to be human? Western moral philosophy for beginners and Cynicism media takes you on a guided journey through the minds that shaped the moral backbone of the West, from the earliest Greek thinkers to the modern age. Lived stories of struggle, ambition, conflict, revelation, all unfolding against the sweep of history. If you've ever wanted to understand philosophy clearly, calmly, and humanly, if you want to know not just what these thinkers argued, but why it mattered, follow Western moral philosophy for beginners today and explore 10 more podcasts at Cynicism Media. Diogenes of Sinope, a central figure in the philosophical school of Cynicism, emerged in the 4th century BCE and is remembered for his unconventional lifestyle and astute critiques of societal norms. While we explored the outlines of his life and context in the previous episode, this deep dive will focus on the heart of his moral philosophy, the provocative ideas he introduced, and their relevance in today's world. At the core of Diogenes' philosophy was his radical call for a return to nature and authenticity, advocating for a life devoid of pretense and artifice. He believed that civilization, while capable of great achievements, had led people away from their true nature. This belief was symbolized through acts of deliberate provocation, such as walking the streets of Athens with a lantern in broad daylight, claiming to be searching for an honest man. Here, Diogenes articulated a criticism of social hypocrisy and moral decay, challenging not just individuals, but the fabric of societal values. One of his central ideas revolved around the concept of virtue as self-sufficiency, a tenet that was foundational to Cynicism. For Diogenes, virtue was not contingent upon societal recognition or wealth. Instead, it stemmed from living a life aligned with nature, embracing simplicity, and practicing self-discipline. He famously lived in a barrel, an act both literal and metaphorical, symbolizing freedom from societal convention and material possessions. This perspective echoes through his disdain for luxury, showcasing a life of asceticism that he juxtaposed against the extravagance prevalent in Athenian society. In his view, the pursuit of happiness arrived not from external markers of success, but from the cultivation of internal virtue. Diogenes also critiqued the pursuit of knowledge divorced from practical use. In a famous exchange, when asked about the meaning of the word man, he retorted that it was a creature with the capacity for laughter. This remark encapsulated his belief that self-awareness and enjoyment of existence were paramount. For Diogenes, wisdom was not abstract. It was grounded in the tangible realities of life. He maintained that philosophy should be lived rather than merely theorized, a belief that would resonate with later thinkers. His moral philosophy involves certain key arguments regarding social norms, ethics, and the dichotomy between natural law and societal constructs. One of his core arguments can be traced to the idea of social conventions being false constructs. Diogenes argued that morality, shaped by culture and law, often veers away from true ethical engagement. This perspective invites us into a deeper discussion about the nature of justice. For instance, if we accept Diogenes' challenge, we must consider whether laws serve humanity or merely conform to social expectations that may promote injustice. His radical skepticism serves as a precursor to later philosophical skepticism, questioning not only the values prevalent in his time, but also our own contemporary systems. Let us explore two modern situations where Diogenes' ideas might find resonance. The first lies in our relationship with consumerism and materialism. In an age where success is frequently measured by wealth and possessions, Diogenes' insistence on the necessity of living simply raises urgent questions. Are we happier when we possess more? Or does true happiness arise from contentment with what we have, as he suggested? Modern ethical discussions about sustainability intersect with this thought. As we confront climate change and environmental degradation, Diogenes' call to shed unnecessary luxuries could inspire a re-examination of lifestyles that prioritize excess over responsible consumption. A second realm to consider is the growing field of artificial intelligence and technology. As our society increasingly relies on technology, the question of what it means to be human gains complexity. Diogenes would likely challenge the artificial constructs that define modern human interaction and relationships. His cynicism and rejection of falsehood can provoke critical inquiry into the nature of our interactions. Are our online personas authentic reflections of ourselves, or do they embody the artifice that Diogenes condemned? Just as he confronted the superficiality of his contemporaries, modern ethical considerations about technology can benefit from his advocacy for authenticity and directness in human relationships. Despite the provocative nature of Diogenes' thought, his philosophy is not without criticisms. One prevalent critique is that his extreme asceticism may neglect the potential value of society and social interaction in shaping moral character. Critics argue that his dismissal of societal constructs may overlook the benefits of social cooperation and the good that can arise from communal living. Various philosophers have pointed out that while the critique of excess is valuable, a wholesale rejection of societal norms could risk isolating individuals, detracting from the rich tapestry of human experience that involves collaboration and friendship. Later thinkers, such as the Stoics, who flourished after Diogenes, incorporated his ideas while also advocating for a more constructive engagement with society. For them, virtue involves alignment with nature, but also the acceptance of social responsibility. Stoics recognized the need for a balance between the commitment to personal virtue and the engagement with the broader community. They saw the importance of working within societal frameworks to cultivate goodness, providing the counterpoint to the more radical detachment that Diogenes embodied. In our discussion, it is crucial to connect Diogenes to earlier philosophical traditions. His perspective is reminiscent of Socratic skepticism, where questioning accepted norms and seeking authentic knowledge is paramount. Socrates, through his dialectical method, invited individuals to scrutinize their beliefs, a practice that Diogenes took to an extreme with his behavior. This lineage of critical inquiry underscores a thread in Western philosophy that persists through time, evolving into modern debates about ethics. As we reflect on Diogenes of Sinope's ideas, it becomes clear that his provocative practices and philosophical challenges urge us to examine our values and the authenticity of our lives. The spirit of cynicism invites us to reconsider where meaning and fulfillment reside, whether it is in societal expectations or within our innate capacities for virtue. His life challenges us, even today, to ask whether we are living authentically or simply acquiescing to the roles prescribed to us. As we conclude, consider how Diogenes' principles of simplicity and authenticity might provoke thought in your own life. Are the external markers of success you pursue genuinely aligned with your values? In your interactions, are you prioritizing authenticity over appearances? In grappling with these questions, you might discover paths toward a more genuine, perhaps even more fulfilled existence, echoing the timeless challenges posed by a philosopher who sought an honest man in a world full of shadows. Continuing from where we left off, it's essential to delve deeper into Diogenes' thought and how it interacts with contemporary moral questions, particularly those surrounding the nature of truth, virtue, and the human condition. Diogenes is often celebrated for his blunt honesty and for challenging social norms. But amid that celebration lies a wealth of considerations about the implications of his philosophy. At the heart of Diogenes' moral landscape lies a stark and uncompromising view of the human condition. He articulated a vision wherein individuals freely express their desires and actions without the constraints imposed by societal norms. This invites us to think critically about the modern struggle between individuality and conformity. In a society that often celebrates conformity and collective identity, Diogenes presents a stark counter-narrative. He dared to be the outlier, the stark realist in a world rife with deception, chiding those who succumb to the artifice of societal expectations. Consider Diogenes' famous retort to Plato, who once defined a human being as a featherless biped. In a display of wit, Diogenes plucked a chicken and brought it into the academy, declaring, "Here is Plato's human." This story serves not just as a comedic critique, but as a powerful rebuttal of abstract definitions that strip away the complexities of real life. From this, we can derive a key moral lesson about the dangers of relying too heavily on intellectual categorization, devoid of lived experience. For Diogenes, real engagement with the world was paramount to understanding what it means to be human. This resonates with contemporary discussions on the importance of personal experience in fields like psychology, education, and even human-centered design in technology. Furthermore, Diogenes' philosophy promotes skepticism regarding established institutions. His disdain for social conventions leads us into a critical evaluation of contemporary political structures and roles, urging us to ask, how often do we succumb to the prevailing wisdom of our age? In the realm of politics, for instance, Diogenes' challenge is particularly prescient. Where is the honest politician? The quest for integrity in governance is perennial, and Diogenes' challenge invites us to reconsider the conditions under which we grant power to others, as well as our responsibility in holding them accountable. A modern echo of his admonitions can be found in discussions surrounding transparency in government, corporate ethics, and the critical need to uphold the values of honesty and authenticity in our leaders. His life also poses a radical question regarding the nature of needs versus wants. Diogenes promoted the idea that the trappings of luxury distract us from our essential human needs. This leads into an intriguing modern dialogue about minimalism and self-care. As we navigate an age inundated with advertisements encouraging consumption, Diogenes' asceticism finds renewed relevance. In personal development and mental health circles, people talk about decluttering not just their physical spaces, but also their mental and emotional states. This aligns so closely with Diogenes' belief that true happiness lies not in possessing more, but in appreciating the fullness of less. The minimalist movement today is a compelling manifestation of his ancient philosophies, encouraging individuals to discern between their authentic needs and the artificial demands of societal pressure. Diogenes also challenges the very essence of human interaction. By rejecting norms surrounding social interactions, he illustrates the gap between genuine human connection and relationships shaped by social performance. Living authentically requires us to confront the discomfort that may arise when we swim against the tide of social expectation. This perspective can be particularly illuminating in our increasingly digital age, where online personas are often curated with an emphasis on perfection, leading to a disconnect between who we are and how we present ourselves. Diogenes pushes us to confront whether our digital identities genuinely reflect our values and beliefs. It's worth noting that each of Diogenes' bold assertions also draws a fair share of criticism, and engaging with these criticisms deepens our understanding of his philosophy. As mentioned earlier, one significant critique centers around his extreme rejection of societal norms. Detractors argue that while his calls for authenticity resonate, his radical asceticism may neglect the benefits of social solidarity. After all, human beings are inherently social creatures whose ethical development is often nurtured in community. To completely reject social structure may undermine the potential for cooperative virtues such as compassion, trust, and loyalty. Furthermore, this criticism has taken root in modern discourses surrounding social responsibility. The question arises, in our pursuit of personal truth, should we not also consider our obligations to others? This introduces the concept of ethical interdependence, which emphasizes that our moral decisions often have far-reaching effects beyond the individual. Critics of Diogenes might argue that while self-sufficiency has merit, our interconnectedness as human beings necessitates a level of engagement with social values, something he vehemently criticized. Later thinkers, such as the Christian philosopher Augustine, would provide a contrast to Diogenes by arguing the necessity of community while cultivating individual virtue. For Augustine, moral development occurs within the context of flourishing as a community rooted in shared values, suggesting that ethical growth requires both individual introspection and communal engagement. In the same historical vein, the Renaissance thinker Erasmus built upon classical ideas and critiqued the Cynic's harshness, proposing that social structures and institutions could serve humanity and foster moral character. This discussion around the balance between individual freedom and social responsibility has become central to contemporary moral philosophy. The question remains, how can we honor genuine individual expression while participating in community life that cultivates empathy and supports mutual aid? When it comes to gender and societal constructs, Diogenes' views are also ripe for exploration. His open disdain for the societal status quo squares with contemporary feminist critiques that interrogate the constructs imposed by patriarchal societies. Feminist philosophers often dissect how traditional standards of human behavior have been defined through narrow lenses that restrict authentic self-expression. Diogenes' commitment to authenticity can be seen as an early critique of such constrictive roles, suggesting a deeper moral argument against gender-based expectations. Building upon these considerations, let's reflect on how Diogenes' critiques can foster contemporary dialogue. His core tenets challenge us as individuals and as a society to navigate the tension between existing norms and the truth of our lived experiences. In our tumultuous age, can we adopt a Diogenesian perspective while still engaging in collective efforts for social good? Our conversation shifts towards an exploration of how we balance personal integrity with our responsibilities to enter the fray of societal discourse. As we engage with Diogenes' moral framework, we confront the daunting task of applying these ancient insights thoughtfully in our modern lives. His radical pursuit of authenticity encourages us to critique not just our social structures, but also the decisions we make as individuals, to consider whether our actions align with our values. In an age where messages of self-care and authenticity are prevalent, we might ask ourselves, do these principles extend beyond our personal sphere and into our interactions, our workplaces, and our communities? Ultimately, Diogenes' ethos champions a life of integrity in the face of society's often hypocritical dictates. His challenges provoke us to confront our lives, the principles we uphold, and the values we embody. His legacy reminds us that the most profound forms of ethical engagement emerge not from dogmatic adherence to societal constructs, but from a willingness to live genuinely and question everything, including ourselves. As we draw this exploration to a close, I invite you to contemplate where Diogenes' insights fit within your life narrative. What societal norms challenge you, and how might you engage with them authentically? In this ever-complicated world, the invitation remains to consider how Diogenes' radical ideas can not only refine our understanding of virtue, but also inform our journey toward living more honestly. The pursuit of a genuine life requires both courage and reflection, a journey that Diogenes navigated with unparalleled clarity, compelling us to do the same. Continuing our exploration of Diogenes of Sinope's impact on moral philosophy, we find that his radical approach not only sought to establish a standard for authenticity in personal conduct, but also stirred critical discussions around social constructs that define and often constrain humanity. In examining the lasting implications of his ideas, we encounter themes of ethics that question the legitimacy of social norms, emphasize the significance of self-awareness, and explore the dichotomy between individual desires and communal responsibilities. One dimension of Diogenes' philosophy worthy of further exploration is his critique of social status and wealth. Diogenes lived as an outward example of the belief that material possessions and social hierarchies distort genuine human relationships and self-worth. His life in a barrel, devoid of creature comforts, exemplified how unnecessary luxury served to alienate individuals from their core human nature. This asceticism wasn't merely an aesthetic of minimalism. It was an act of defiance against the very structures that valorized wealth and status. In this, he posed a profound moral challenge to us today. Can we pursue a sense of identity that is unblemished by materialism and societal accolades? As we draw parallels to contemporary issues, Diogenes' perspective resonates in the ongoing discussions about economic inequality and the moral implications of wealth. In a world where the gap between the wealthy and the poor continues to widen, Diogenes' insistence on self-sufficiency and disdain for material excess compel us to examine how we measure success. Are wealth and status valid markers of human value? Or do these metrics obscure our understanding of genuine worth? Diogenes would likely stand in critique of practices that prioritize profit over community welfare, urging us to question capitalist values that often promote greed. In our current climate, where economic systems profoundly affect individual and communal ethics, his philosophy invites us to explore economic practices that align more closely with shared human interests, rather than an inflated sense of personal gain. How can we create structures that encourage equity, transparency, and social responsibility in the face of overwhelming societal pressures? Additionally, Diogenes' practices we might engage with more seriously than their own greed and self-constructs. Views on wealth prompt us to engage with the ethical considerations of philanthropy, a practice often lauded for addressing need, but which can simultaneously reinforce systemic inequities. In a world where large fortunes are frequently passed down through generations, the question arises: do acts of charitable giving alleviate the societal responsibilities of the wealthy? Or do they serve to highlight the inequalities embedded within social frameworks? Diogenes challenges us to consider whether genuine care for fellow human beings demands a broader restructuring of societal norms surrounding wealth, rather than simply the alleviation of its symptoms. Moreover, Diogenes' life prompts a thorough reevaluation of honesty and authenticity in our interactions, especially in political and social discussions where rhetoric often obscures truth. His unapologetic candor was both a source of discomfort for those entrenched in societal expectations and a catalyst for change, urging individuals to prioritize truthfulness above convenience. Today, we are confronted with an era characterized by alternative facts, misinformation, and social media echo chambers that obscure reality. Diogenes' insistence on straightforwardness acts as a clarion call to navigate a morally complex world with clarity and honesty. Consider the political landscape and the moral dilemmas we face. How often are politicians asked to maintain a narrative that aligns with public expectation, rather than reveal the truth. In instances where transparency should prevail, Diogenes would likely challenge us to interrogate the motives behind political narratives. His provocations echo urgently in a time when the need for integrity in governance is paramount. The moral question arises: what role does societal accountability play in ensuring that our leaders align their actions with the truths they profess? Furthermore, Diogenes' approach can be a metaphor for individual responsibility in a collective framework. He famously said, "I am looking for an honest man," a quest that raises questions about the integrity of everyday interactions. In an age where authenticity can be compromised by social media representations and curated lifestyles, we are compelled to ask whether our personal interactions reflect the honesty Diogenes championed. Are we engaging with one another based on our true selves, or do we curate our interactions to fit social expectations? In the realm of personal relationships, Diogenes' message resonates with current conversations surrounding vulnerability and authenticity. The modern dialogue emphasizes the importance of building connections grounded in transparency and mutual understanding. Intentional honesty can foster deeper relationships, creating a foundation where individuals can express their true selves without fear of societal judgment. As we navigate our own interactions, Diogenes' legacy compels us to consider how bravely we show up in our relationships, confronting the false narratives that often separate us from genuine connection. Another significant aspect of Diogenes' philosophy is his conception of self-awareness and its impact on moral understanding. He posited that a deep understanding of oneself is essential to cultivate true virtue, an idea that resonates broadly with contemporary discussions surrounding mental health and emotional intelligence. Diogenes believed that individuals must first engage with their own nature to delineate the path to virtue, suggesting that self-awareness is a precursor to ethical living. In today's context, focusing on self-awareness unfolds myriad implications for both personal and communal ethics. The growing emphasis on mental health underscores the need for individuals to look inward to recognize their motivations, desires, and biases. Counts of self-exploration through therapy, meditation, and reflective practices take root in Diogenes' call for authenticity. This creates a fertile ground for ethical engagement, where individuals can act from a place of understanding rather than societal expectation. Moreover, the interplay between self-awareness and cultural norms raises critical questions. For instance, in many cultures, socialization teaches individuals to suppress their authentic selves in favor of conformity. Diogenes' philosophy urges us to acknowledge the conflict between societal expectations and personal truth. He prods us to ask, to what extent are we compromising our understanding of who we are to appease external judgments? Acknowledging and confronting this dynamic could inspire more profound conversations about cultural identity and self-expression, prompting actions that advocate for inclusivity and authenticity in various cultural contexts. As we engage more closely with the implications of Diogenes' critique of societal norms, we uncover a narrative that intertwines personal and communal ethics, evolving towards a philosophy that underscores interdependence while still valuing individuality. The essence of Diogenes' challenge can inspire us to reflect critically on how our understanding of self and society compels or constrains us in our moral endeavors. Critics of Diogenes' philosophy often point to the apparent dichotomy between individual authenticity and social connection, suggesting that a radical rejection of social norms can lead to disconnection in communities. This concern leads us to engage with a more nuanced understanding of notion that Diogenes espoused. The intersection of individuality with communal ethics is vital for fostering a society that values diverse experiences while promoting accountability. In later philosophical developments, ye notice figures like Jean-Paul Sartre, emphasizing the importance of individual freedom and authenticity, while grappling with the responsibility that comes with such freedom. Sartre posited that individuals must confront the consequences of their choices in a world where meaning is not preordained, echoing the substance of Diogenes' challenges to accepted norms and traditions. Sartre's existentialism reiterates the call for individuals to take responsibility for their actions within a societal framework. Additionally, the work of contemporary philosophers such as Martha Nussbaum extends the conversation around ethical engagement by exploring the capabilities approach, blending individual virtue with an emphasis on societal conditions that promote human flourishing. She emphasizes that the societal structure must support individuals in fulfilling their innate potential, ensuring that personal authenticity can thrive within a supportive framework. As we consider these philosophical interrelations, we find that the legacy of Diogenes stands not in singular rejection of social norms, but in the persistent quest for balance between individual authenticity and communal responsibility. His core challenge remains a guiding principle for navigating our modern lives: to seek clarity, prioritizing truth over false embellishments, particularly in a world clamoring for transparency. To wrap this exploration into a cohesive reflection, we must now turn our gaze inward yet again, asking ourselves how Diogenes' philosophies resonate in our daily realities. Are we, like him, capable of challenging societal norms that encourage superficiality and materialism? Can we cultivate honesty within ourselves and our relationships, while still actively contributing to a community that demands honesty and integrity from all its members? His radical call to authenticity serves as a powerful guide, echoing through centuries towards our present moment. Diogenes invites us to disentangle ourselves from the excess and pressures of modern life. We can aspire to live based on genuine internal values rather than external validation, thus carving a path towards true ethical engagement. I encourage you to contemplate aspects of your existence that may require reevaluation through the lens of Diogenes. In pursuit of a life aligned with your true self, consider what steps you can take to embody the virtues he championed: honesty, simplicity, and an unwavering commitment to authenticity. How might that path transform your interactions and community contributions? As we continue to navigate the complexities of life, let the spirit of Diogenes guide us toward a more authentic existence, a life where we not only seek the truth for ourselves, but actively participate in establishing a society that values integrity and compassion at its core.
Midnight rails under silver moon, dusty boots on a winding road. A shadow's the only friend I've known since she packed up and let me go. Empty whiskey bottle on the seat, her laugh still echoes in my bones. The saddle's heavy with memories. I ride alone where the wind still blows. Nowhere else to be, nowhere else to be, nowhere else to be. Nowhere else to be, nowhere else to be, nowhere else to be. Sunrise paints the horizon gold, but it don't warm a lonesome soul. Every town I pass feels half her size. Every trail's haunted by goodbye. I whisper prayers to open skies, hoping someday my heart'll find a brand new path beyond the pain, where broken hearts can heal in time. Nowhere else to be, nowhere else to be, nowhere else to be. Nowhere else to be, nowhere else to be. Nowhere else to be. Nowhere else to be, nowhere else to be.